Thank you, and thank you for having us. My name is Thomas Hotkave. This is my daughter, Janie Hotkave. I am the founder of RGV Paranormal Investigation. Janie and my sister Bonnie are co-founders. We've been doing this for 16 years. We started in the paranormal field when Janie was at the age of 7 years old. She got interested in it. I had a friend of mine that was in the paranormal field for many years. He took us under his wing. He trained us for 2.5 to 3 years. And then we began doing it on our own. I'm sorry. I'm still uptight from all this traffic from driving from Brownsville. It was a madhouse. We have in front of here various pieces of equipment that we use in conducting our investigations. Is there anything you want to say?
Oh, I could do the present.
And what you see is just some of your normal cameras and stuff that you would use yourself. Nothing really special. Regular old digital camera. I pick them up at the pawn shop. Well, I'll explain why. I'm not going to go spend $100, $200 on a camera and get it knocked out of my hand or get it possessed by a ghost. It's happened to my sister Bonnie. She's lost 3 good cameras from them being slapped out of her hand. Just quit working. The last one she used, all of a sudden just started smoking and burnt up. So they do take possession of them. There's another just regular old digital camera we use. Now this one's looks just like a regular camera, but this one has been modified. This has been modified for ghost hunters. This is what they call infrared camera. What it does, it takes and removes all the lighting from the outdoors and turns it into what they call a full spectrum camera. And this camera picks up ghost what these cameras won't. Now the difference between them, I can take a picture of this one, and how many of you know what orbs are? Okay, I can take a picture with this one. Now if there's a moth or a mosquito or even like mist in the air, this camera is going to make it and show it up as an orb. Where the difference is between the infrared camera, it removes all that and shows you nothing but true orbs. If it's a bug flying in the air, this camera is going to show you it's a bug flying in the air. If there's a mist, it's going to show you that it's mist in the air. That's the difference between these. This is just a regular, what it is an infrared light. We hook it up to our cameras, video cameras. To use it, I like to hook it up to my GoPro and set it up in a room while it's videotaping with all the lights off. Next we got night vision surveillance cameras. Would you see them outside your house, businesses? That's what these are. We use these, we set them out throughout various rooms or of houses, and we got a big monitor that we hook them up to so we can view what's in the room, and we communicate through walkie-talkies or through our phones and say, hey, okay, we've got some movement in such and such room, go check it out. So it helps us identify moving objects and different things like that. Now, this thing here is a paracorder. What it is, it's ghost bait. This releases EMF. EMF is an electronic magnetic field, which a ghost produces. This gives them a little bit more strength to communicate with us and possibly show themselves. These is an EMF detector. This we walk around rooms trying to pick up EMF. I can show you how it works. Electricians like to use these when they're inspecting wiring, especially connections in the wall. If we got a loose wire, bad connection, they will beep. I believe we got good wiring in the plugs, it didn't beep. So that's what this one is. This is what they call the K2 meter. K2 meter is basically the same as the EMF detector, just a little bit more high tech. I turn it on, it lights up, it has little lights. We like to use these when we're asking yes and no questions. We'll get the ghost to light up the lights for yes and no questions. This is Janie's personal favorite. These are dowsing rods. Dowsing rods date back way before the 1800s. They're not electrified. There's no batteries in them or anything like that. We use copper. Copper is a good conductor with all types of metal. What we do is when we're searching, we hold them out in front of us just like this. Well, you know what? I'll get you to display it.
Basically, when you use the dowsing rods, you got to make sure you hold them far enough away from yourself because they're going to spin, and far enough away from each other so they don't hit each other. Now, when we're like walking through the cemetery, it'll direct us in the way like this, so this is the way you want to go. Now, when you get to that point, it's like X marks the spot. Now, I use them to communicate with the ghosts. What I do is I'll feel a presence and I'll say open for yes and cross for no. And then I'll ask, is there anybody here with us? And if it opens for yes, then I continue asking questions. Did you die here? Stuff like that.
As you can tell, they're very active right now because they're picking up everybody's energy here in the room. Doesn't not necessarily mean there's a ghost present here, okay? But they're picking up everybody's energy in this room. She is very, very good at them. Voice recorders, just regular digital recorders that we use when we're asking questions to record. We have
EVPs
on our PowerPoint presentations. We do have some EVPs in it that you can hear that we picked up over the years. What we got here are two different types. They're called ghost boxes. What they are, they're just a regular AM/FM transistor radio that has been modified just to keep scanning through all the different frequencies in the radios, in radio stations. And what this do, when a ghost is communicating, it communicates through a frequency. The frequency could be off your voice, because we have recorders where we've caught somebody saying something and there's a voice behind their voice. And when we go to clean it out, well, we can't clean it out because it's using that individual person's voice as a transmitter to communicate back with us. So, and what this does, it gives a frequency for the ghosts where they can talk back at us. This particular unit, they use it on ghost hunters, they use it on ghost adventurers, and I get my equipment from the same manufacturer that manufactures the equipment for ghost hunters and the ghost adventurers. Let's see, here's just a regular simple motion detector. Regular motion detector that we set up in rooms, because if the ghost walks by, it'll signal off. This particular one, I don't even know if I have batteries in it right now. Yeah, I do. I modified this one by adding a buzzer to it. Because if we're not in that room where this is set up, and if nobody's watching our monitors for our cameras, we don't know what's going on. So I added this buzzer. When it goes off, I get that. We hear that, so okay, we got movement in this room, let's go check it out. Let's see, that covers the equipment.
This is another form of dowsing. It's with a crystal on a chain. It's called a pendulum. And you can use an alphabet chart, or you can just actually use it by itself. So
you can also take a regular piece of paper and write yes and no on it, and it'll work the same way.
Yeah, and the pendulums, you can actually just make it as a weight on a string. You don't have to get all fancy with a crystal. But to use this one, you just hold it between your index and your thumb, and you hold, like, you stay still, and you say, show me yes, and then it'll start going in the way of yes. So for this one, counterclockwise is a yes, show me no, no is back and forth. So with this, I'll sit in a room and I'll start asking questions. Now in the chart, for yes, it will actually go side to side and no up and down. But I can get like dates and names through this.
Another one here is just a regular, simple old flashlight. I'm sure if any of you have watched Ghost Hunters, they use flashlights also. Well, we started using them about 2-3 weeks ago. We did an investigation in a home that was built in 1912, and the man that built the home died 1 year later. So we went in there and we did it was a public ghost hunt we did for the Brownsville Historical Association. Right now we're doing a lot of ghost hunts for them. And what they do is we turn the flashlight on, and we set it down, and if there's a presence, we ask them to either turn the light on or turn it off. And I think Janie has a clip here.
I didn't put it in there, but I can get it.
Oh, okay.
I have it on my phone. I can show you after.
Where it actually, we actually got some, got them to turn it on and turn it off for us. Okay, now we'll go ahead and just show you our present PowerPoints, where you can see some of the evidence that we've collected over the year. Now we do have some new pictures in here that some of our participants shared with us from last Friday's ghost hunt at the Old City Cemetery in Brownsville. And there are some really nice, cool pictures. This picture here was taken at the Old City Cemetery several years back. As you can tell, they're right there on that girl's shoulder, a skeleton hand. And she even came and she said, it feels like somebody's tapped me on the shoulder. And I believe my sister Bonnie took that picture as she was saying that, and that's what appeared in the picture.
This one here I took at the Old City Cemetery. The next few pictures will all be from there. But this one I took. The Old City Cemetery in Brownsville is known for a lot of people who served in the Army being buried there. And in this picture, if you can see, you see a man standing.
The cemetery dates back in the 1800s. Actually, it dates so far back. President Cleveland has family that's buried in this cemetery, and a lot of the founders of Brownsville and parts of the Upper Valley are also buried there. There's people where the city of McAllen is named after the McAllens. I'm sure some of you have heard of the McAllen Ranch. I think it's in Lynn, Texas. They're the same people. They're some of the founders of Brownsville and parts of the Upper Valley. And see, in this picture, what we have here is a lot of what we call electroplasma. This picture, as you can tell, doesn't look the same as the other pictures. This is a prime example of the type of pictures this infrared camera will take. It makes them look a pink, and different things appear up in it, like this lighting and stuff that wouldn't be visual in your regular digital camera.
It's Daisy.
I don't see what you got there.
It's the picture of Daisy there.
Oh, okay. This is one of the pictures that were taken last weekend. As you can see, it appears to be a person here. It's a girl, and she fits the description that all the security guards from that cemetery that sit there overnight to make sure vandals don't go in there and vandalize a lot of the graves. Daisy was the first traffic fatality in the 1800s. She ran out in the street and got trampled by a horse and wagon. And she is one of the most famous and popular ghosts out in our cemetery. And periodically she does show herself to us. We've gotten recordings of her wanting to do singing Ring Around the Rosie. Security guards sit at the front of the cemetery between the hours of 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. And they will, by that time, they'll be dozing off. And all of a sudden, they'll hear, "Wake up, they're coming." And the guy would wake up and look, and there's nobody around. So he'll just, well, I guess I was dreaming. So he'll doze back off and, "Wake up, they're coming." And he'd look around and still nothing. So the third time, "Wake up, they're coming." So he wakes up and he sees the little girl at the window. So, "Wake up, they're coming." And then she vanishes. Well, 2 minutes later, the security guard supervisor shows up to check on him, see how's it going and everything like that. Daisy takes care of the security because she knows that she's there to protect them. Do you have a picture of her grave?
No, not on the PowerPoint.
Okay. People that go and visit the cemetery never go empty-handed. They always take little stuffed animals, balls, marbles to Daisy's grave. Daisy loves to receive gifts. This one time a security guard was there and he saw two little kids playing in the main street that runs in the cemetery. And what the heck are these kids doing here? He gets out of his car and goes and walks around, and the kids are gone. And he can still hear them giggling and laughing, so he gets his big old flashlight out and is walking around the cemetery, looking behind some of the tombs and the headstones, and nothing's there. So yeah, he gets back in his car and puts on his radio or whatever he has with him, and then he sees it again. You know, he's seen everything through his rear view mirror. And again he gets out and there's nothing there. I mean, we got stories and stories and stories from these security guards that have experienced so much weird things at this cemetery, it's not funny. Now this one, was that from the same night?
Yeah, so the same night.
The same night. I wish you would have put the other one. This one's a little dark. We don't do anything to our pictures except when they come out this dark, I will take them and adjust the brightness and the contrast on them. I don't add in, I don't know how to use Photoshop or any of that other stuff to where I can add ghosts to my pictures. And to begin with, I'm not going to do that to ruin my reputation. But in this picture, it appears to be a little boy. He's wearing either like shorts with suspenders or pants with suspenders. I'm not sure if you can see it or not. Here's another one that they took this past weekend. Somebody sitting on one of the tombs there. This is at the cemetery as well, where we were giving one of our tours. This, as you can tell, this lady is using the dowsing rods. And she's telling my sister, she goes, you know, I forget what she said she was, but she doesn't believe in God. And as soon as she said that she did not believe in God, all this, what we call fire from hell, came up all around her. And this was her daughter over here in this area. And so we got all the electroplasma and you know. This one is one that at the cemetery as well. My sister Bonnie took this picture, and it doesn't even look like the cemetery, with the exception of this part. The top part looks like a whole different little city in it. Now right here, the circle, it appears to be a lady holding a baby. Now if you look at this picture, if you had it on your computer, you could see it and make out different images on it real clear. There's about 3, maybe 4 different images in this particular picture. One of them is around in this area. and something over here in this area. But we circled this one because this was one of the most clearest pictures that we can identify with. This picture is
From the cemetery.
the cemetery as well. And that's just a form of the electroplasma. That's energy. With enough of that type of energy, it allows and helps the ghost manifest themselves, show themselves as a human being, and even communicate with us. There's the cemetery there. We got what appears to be a boy next to one of the graves there. That is also the cemetery, of course. And we took that picture and we got that big giant energy orb there. I mean, it was super bright. This is one of my first pictures that I'm proud of taking. As you can tell, you see it's a priest during the 1800s. And I recently found his grave there where he was murdered by the bandits that ran across the Mexican border through the military highway. Now, these are prime examples of orbs taken. Now, if you were to zoom in on this picture on your computer, you would see that there's like a bunch of orbs drawn together that form the image. And that's what we're talking about, how orbs are balls of energy, and when they're gathered enough of them together, they manifest into what appears to be a human being. This one, Janie always likes to visit this particular lady at the cemetery. And what do you want to describe that one?
Basically, me and one of my cousins were at the cemetery. One of the first times she went. And we started talking to this ghost. He's in the dowsing rods. We would ask silly questions like asking her to guess what color of underwear we were wearing, stuff like that. She always got it right. And she actually told me this thing, which is actually a life-changing thing. And then I went back and I was giving her a gift. And when I was putting down the gift, I think my Aunt Bonnie or somebody snapped a picture, and you got the orb right between my face and her grave.
Now, this is my favorite place to go ghost hunting. This is the old Fort Brown, Texas Southmost College in Brownsville. This particular building is what was the old jail during the 1800s, during when they had the fort there. This is Jack. We identified him as Jack because we've asked questions, and we were able to get his name. And he's sitting there, and I'm not sure if you can tell, but it appears to be where he's like possibly playing a harmonica. Now, my best friend is a professional harmonica player up in Nashville, Tennessee. I grew up with him in Brownsville, and he's making a big name for himself up in Nashville. And he's teaching me how to play the harmonica. Last year, I went and I said I'm going to do and try something really crazy. And that's the front of the jail, right?
Yes.
And so I sat down on the steps just like Diego's doing there, and I started playing Yankee Doodle on the harmonica. Janie was the very first one to spot the soldier. Oh, there I am right here. So I'm playing, and Janie says, "Dad, you better stop. The soldier's behind you, and he's giving you a dirty, dirty look, and he also has a hand on his sword." I said, you know what? I don't care. I'm gonna keep playing. So I'm playing and playing, and you know, and one of the other girls that's in our group, she also has the gift where she can visualize and communicate with the ghost as well. And she told me also, she was standing on the other side, and she said, "Thomas, yeah, he's directly behind you right now." Well, as she said that, I feel a kick in the back. Not hard enough to knock me over, but hard enough to feel it and have a footprint on the back of my shirt.
This is actually from that same night that he's talking about. One of our participants had taken this picture. Diego was actually playing the harmonica a little bit also, and they got the sword kind of like whacking it out of their hand.
That's also Fort Brown, and one of the an archway window in off of Gorgas Hall. Gorgas Hall was during the time period was the hospital there. We're not sure if he was one of the visitors, or one of the doctors, or what he was there. This is Gorgas Hall. This is during one of our tours. And as you can tell, my sister has labeled him as the gambler. And he was following us that whole night. And actually, a lot of the ladies are the ones who get affected the most at Fort Brown. Why? Because they're soldiers, and the soldiers like ladies, and they will say, "Hey, somebody just touched me inappropriate," you know, and nobody's around them, you know, and so we get that quite a bit from there. Now we will be doing another tour there on October the 29th. We have some flyers available if anybody's interested. This was taken at the Port Isabel, the famous yacht club in Port Isabel. In the early 1900s, the yacht club was one of the big high-class places in Port Isabel that they would hold boat races for the very rich and famous. It was one of Al Capone's hangouts when things got too hot for him in Chicago and he needed to get away. This is where he came. He started gambling in the yacht club. The upstairs part had all the tables, the slot machines, the poker tables, everything was upstairs. Downstairs was the dining and ballroom. Now we were investigating. This is the dining area, and I felt something touch me. And I tell my sister, I go, "Hey, take a picture of me." She goes, No, because you're gonna break my camera. Yeah, we joke around, you know, like that. And I said, seriously, take a picture of me. I feel something touching my shoulder. So she snaps the picture and she goes, "Oh my God, Thomas, you wouldn't believe what I caught." So she's showing me off her camera, but sure enough, we got a hand there. And the owner of this has the documentation that proves that Al Capone used to stay there. Al Capone actually bootlegged whiskey from Mexico, brought it into Port Isabel. There's two twin towers at the top of the yacht club where his guards were standing guard. And the Mexican gunboat or Mexican Navy would come in and get to the boats and be firing at them, you know, because they got all this illegal whiskey. And they go and bring it in, they store it in these towers under guard. And when they were ready to transport it, they load it up on trucks and take it and ship it out to Chicago, Detroit, or wherever Al Capone was distributing whiskey at that time. This is at the Southern Pacific Train Depot Museum in Brownsville. We were doing an investigation there several years back, and this particular area is what they would have called the baggage area. All the baggage was brought into this room. There's a big door on, let me see, it's going to be on the other, in this area, because you can see there's the bottom part of the scale where they would weigh it, and they would have the box cars the line up on this side of the depot and load up all the luggage. Well, as you can see, we took, I can't remember who was taking this picture, but we got this, and there's a big, see, there's one of our motion detectors. And Janie has a big glow on her hand, and look at her face, and she looks like she's possessed or something. Right. Something was using her body to manifest, using her energy to show themselves.
Right before the picture was taken, I had this feeling of, we shouldn't be in this room, let's get out of here. I had this feeling of urgency to leave the room. And that's when they snapped the picture and we got that.
This picture, we got a call from the owner of a alternative nightclub. It used to be, it was at one time a gentleman's club, and then it was shut down, and the owner's daughter opened it up as an alternative nightclub. Well, they asked us to come in and investigate because they were experiencing a lot of weird things going on. I'm sitting up there watching the monitors, and as I'm watching, it gets real super cold around me. And my sister comes and sits on the next to me, and I said, "Man, do you feel it real cold in here?" And she said, "No, man, it's hot. How can you stand it up here and it's so hot, man?" I said, "No, it's cold." So I take out my digital thermometer and I do a temperature reading. And I look at it, 31.5 degrees it read. I said, wow, okay. So Bonnie takes a picture. We get all these, what we consider ice crystals, because it was so cold. And they all coming back to give this man energy. I don't know if you can see him and make him out in the right-hand corner here. And we showed this picture to the girl that was running the nightclub, and she broke out in tears. She goes, "I'll be right back." And she goes downstairs, comes back up with her pocketbook, and shows us a picture, and compares the picture to this image. And she goes, "Man, that's my grandfather." my grandfather's still here. So 2 o'clock comes around where they're starting to shut down the club. Her father always came in to help her close and get ready to come home. She asked us to show the picture to him. So we showed him the picture, and the guy goes, well, he uses some appropriate language and said, that's my dad. My dad is still here. His father passed away in the club of a heart attack. Now, here, the same club, same nightclub, same time. In this particular area where we're at, there's no lights on, there's no electricity. We take the picture and we have what we call dancing lights. And to me, they sort of resemble a lady dancing. And we take that, in fact, in consideration because it used to be a gentleman's nightclub. If that's what it is, you know, really nobody really knows. That's just what it appears to be to us.
This one was taken at the Stillman Ranch House in Brownsville. This room here is the very top floor of the house. It was a 2-story house. This was one of the side rooms. There's no electricity in this room. There's not even any lights, nothing but windows. And I was standing by the wall, and I had picked up the energy of a young boy, a boy named Juan. And it was me, Diego, and Debbie. And Debbie snapped this picture. I think Diego snapped this picture and got the big white light in front of me.
Diego took it.
Yeah. Diego took this picture and he got the big white light. That's basically the energy of the little boy Juan that I was talking to.
And the caretaker of the ranch house verified and showed us a picture of Juan that worked on the ranch during the time period. This ranch house has been restored, and it was brought in to Brownsville from some little small town around the King Ranch area, and they brought it into to Brownsville to restore. Now this is at what they call the Brownsville Historical Association, one of their museums, the Stillman House. The Stillman's house was one of the first founders of Brownsville. This was their house, and plus, you know, he had the ranch. Now this is a mirror, and one of the participants on one of our ghost hunts snapped this picture and caught the image of what appears to be a woman in the mirror.
If you look up here, there's also like a profile of a man. You see his nose and his lips.
This is also the Stillman house. And as you could tell, it was one of these, it was a cold night, you know, a lot of moisture in the air. I took with my digital camera. That's why you see all the little dots. That's the moisture in the air. But as you can see right in here, where it appears to be a girl looking out the window.
Right here. You have to actually turn your head to the side. If you can tell, it's a man in a straitjacket.
I don't remember that picture. This was the old Bertha Cabasa School in San Benito. We got lucky to get inside that building to conduct a ghost hunt there, And me and one of the other members went during the day to take a walk through the building to get a feel of it, to see, you know, make sure there's nothing that's going to be unsafe for us to walk through. Well, I'm taking pictures, and I captured that picture where it appears to be somebody walking across the hallway into a classroom. This is the gym, same location. Now that gym was very, very weird and crazy. There was no electricity in this area at all due to faulty wiring and a leaky roof that they just cut the power off so they wouldn't have electrical fires. So we were in there taking pictures, and some of us were sitting up on the bleachers with the recorders on. And all of a sudden, you can hear the dribbling of a basketball going across the basketball court. And then all of a sudden, the scoreboard lights up and shows the score. And we said, wait a minute. So it just so happened what the campus police showed up and said, no, that's impossible because there's no electricity in that building. Well, here we are, we're sitting, and you can see all the electroplasma energy in that, coming off of that, out of that building.
This one I took at the county courthouse in Brownsville. Not that many people see this, but what I see is the face and the hair and the shoulders of a lady sitting at her desk.
And there's one of the reasons why we were able to investigate this building, because the ladies that work in there up on the second and third floor always claim to hear typing, and they turn their computers off. When they come back from lunch, their computers are on, and there's a bunch of weird stuff on the computer screen. And you know, they said, well, how could that be? Well, so one of the old ladies that used to work there, she was very, very dedicated. She was always the first one to arrive and always the last one to leave. So that's who they get. They're guessing is there. That's one of the security guards. This is Chris. He's was Judge Costco's assistant there at the time. And this is downstairs in one of the courtrooms. And as we're going through that courtroom, we pick up the judge there. He's holding trial, and one of the persons that's on trial was a prostitute, and it was the judge's movida or sancha, whatever you want to call her, and she was on trial for prostitution. And at this point, we can smell the smell of rose perfume that would have been used in that time period. Go back to that picture. And as you can tell, the orb that's right next to him, well, minutes after that, he screams like a little girl. And we look at him, what happened? Man, I just got touched. I said, what do you mean you got touched? Yeah, man, he got touched by the woman inappropriate. We got children here, so I'm not going to say where. Use your imagination. This is one of the bathrooms there, and you can see the orbs, and we've had some of the employees there at the courthouse join us on this ghost hunt, because we, you know, if we're doing a building, we want the people that work there to join in so they can help verify our findings. Well, Bonnie went into the restroom and started taking some pictures, and she says to her that in the center it appears to be feet or shoes or some sort. Well, you can see the orbs in there, and the women that joined us that work there, they don't like to use that restroom unless they really have to. Reason being because they always hear footsteps, and you have to, it's a personal restroom where you have to have a key to get into it. This is in one of the courtrooms. This woman, she's an independent news reporter. She came in and joined us on the investigation to write a story about us. She sells her stories all over the world, and she's a personal friend of one of Janie's cousins, Jeanette, I think her name, Jeanette, the one that used to work for Channel 4. Jessica?
I don't know.
Jessica or Jeanette, one of them.
Yeah. She's a friend of theirs. Go back to that picture. Okay, so we're picking up a lot of activity in this room. And she is picking up a lot of stuff that's bothering her. And you can see we had all the lights off. This is just electric plasma energy. This is a Mexican TV station film crew that was on location with us as well. Well, something happened to her that night where she would no longer communicate with us. She won't talk to us. She won't come out or any more of our ghost hunts or anything anymore. And she won't tell us what happened to her. This is one of the cemeteries in Brownsville where I went to go and visit my brother on his birthday. And they got benches out there, and I'm sitting on the benches and taking pictures, and it was a nice cool night, no fog, nothing, super clear. I'm taking these pictures, and all of a sudden all this smoke or you know, starts coming up out of the ground, out of these graves. And I said, oh, wow, man, they must be having a party for celebrating my brother's birthday. You know, because all of a sudden it just, you know, started appearing out of nowhere. This is at one of the clubs in Brownsville. This was taken, I cropped it to take out the people that were sitting at this table. Now, what I found pretty weird about this picture is this mist, fog, or whatever you want to call it, to me appeared in the form and shape of the Grim Reaper. You know, he got his arm coming out with, you know, with the sickle, and that's what it appears to be to me. Shortly after that happened, one of the persons that was in that picture lost his son in a traffic accident a week later.
And these are going to be some of our EVPs. They're not going to work because QuickTime is not available. Yeah.
Is that going to work?
They need QuickTime. There's not QuickTime.
Oh, man. We have some good EVPs there too that would really shock you guys. There's no other way we can
My
hear 'em?
laptop, but it's not that loud. Yeah. You can watch them on YouTube. You have them on YouTube.
Well, so much for our EVPs. I was really hoping we could have gotten where you could hear them. Yeah, guys, we do have some flyers of some of the next up and coming ghost hunts, if any of you guys are interested. We have one coming up this Friday night at the Old City Cemetery, and then Halloween night we're going to do one at the Old City Cemetery as well. Now this is our personal one that we do every year at Fort Brown. This is on Saturday, October the 29th. And the college has given us more territory to cover this year. So we're actually going to investigate areas that we've never investigated ourselves. One of them is going to be where the old Fort Cemetery was, where they claim that they removed all the graves and moved them to the military cemetery in Louisiana. Well, after further investigation and old newspaper clippings that I've inquired, that didn't happen. They're still there. And another area is, I don't know if anybody is familiar with TSC, but there's one area called Tandy Hall. Very haunted location. And it's near what they call the old compress. The old compress is where they used to bring the cotton and they used to compress it into small bales to load up on the trains, ships, or what have you, to ship them out. So we're going to be doing that area. And last year when we were there, we had a weird incident where the security, the campus police came up to us and asked us, hey, you guys have been out here for a while, right? And we said, yes. Now, have you guys seen a lady walking around in white? She's all dressed in white. Well, I'm laughing under my breath. And this guy is scared. I mean, he's scared, and he's as white as a ghost. And he goes, seriously, have you guys seen a lady in white? We keep getting reports that there's a lady in white walking around here. And we told him, said, well, you know, the lady in white is a ghost. She walks around here looking for her child. Her child's lost. And he said, no way, you're serious? I said, yeah. And my sister Bonnie actually that night got a picture, took a picture of the lady in white and showed it to him. And that guy, that made the guy even more scared. And he goes, my God, that explains what happened to us right now at Tandy Hall. Because they got to go around to each building on the campus and punch a little clock saying that they came and checked out the location. Well, they get to the Tandy Hall location and there's chairs all pushed up against the door. So the two of the campus police go in there and they get the chairs and push them out of the way to get into the building, and they find out what room they go into, so they're taking and putting the chairs back in the room. So they're walking around, well, there's nobody here, so what's going on? So as they're leaving, they claim as they're leaving, the chairs actually come sliding back out of the room up against the door again.
I'm just gonna play it.
Are you scared?
Are you scared?
Are you here?
Now you're with my hand. This is now, yeah.
Yeah, it's running.
Come on now. Juan Martinez, Mr. Jones, room service. Sir, do you have your baggage?
Even we get scared at times. And that location was, it was one of the most famous hotels in Brownsville. It's called the El Jardín Hotel. It was built in 1926, and it held a lot of what they call USO dances for the military. A lot of famous people stayed in that hotel going on a journey to Mexico. A lot of old actors, Tex Ritter. Some of the older folks will know who I'm talking about. Gene Autry stayed there. Charles Lindbergh stayed there. What's her name? Amelia Earhart? The famous woman pilot stayed there. President Grant stayed in this hotel. Desi Arnaz, when he came to the United States, his first American performance was done in this hotel on the patio. The owners of that hotel are friends of mine. They have the billboard sign in a frame showing that Desi Arnaz stayed there with his autograph on it. Questions? Comments? Anything?
Share an experience?
Sorry?
Anyone
want to share an experience with a ghost or something?
Experiences I've had,
Not you, them.
Yeah.
any of you guys have you had any experiences that you guys want to talk about or ask questions about?
Where was that video clip with the door? When was
At the El Jardín Hotel.
when? How long?
When? That was 2 years ago.
Way longer than that. 2 years ago? Victor's in that video.
Oh no, it would have been. It would have probably been about 3, maybe 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's been quite a while.
Because the family that previously owned it sold it to a company out of Dallas that planned on coming in and restoring it and putting it back in operation again.
Well, she sees my mom, and she's buried here in the cemetery, Laurel Cemetery,
Mhm.
and we went to visit, and she says, at the moment that I was going to the car, she says, I saw grandma. I said, no, you didn't. So I just turned around, and she started crying and crying that I saw her, and then I turned and said, I didn't saw anything. So I calmed down and I said, what did you saw? I saw a shadow on her grave.
Okay. Now, this is something we always tell our adults. If your child says they see something, don't tell them that they're not, because one thing you got to understand, a child's mind is open to absorb learning and everything. So their minds are open to stuff. We're already beyond that point. Our minds are closed to a lot of new things. So
But this is not the first time she's also seen her at my house.
okay.
She never met my mom, only by pictures.
No, we hear that all the time, and we'll go and we'll get a phone call and say, hey, yeah, we need you guys to come in and conduct an investigation in our home. We have a lot of weird things going on, and I said, okay, don't tell us nothing. We don't want to know about it. We want to go in there and conduct an investigation and see what we pick up and what we feel. And then, okay, well, this is what we're picking up. And then they confirm it. That's the way we work.
But also with her, I have pictures because I used to live in Arkansas, in that house there when she was little, like 4 years old. I used to take pictures of her, and only her, you'll see a lot of orbs around her on the pictures.
It could be that your mom is her guardian angel.
Well, that's what I always been telling her, that
Yeah.
it's her.
You see, that's another thing that a lot of people do not understand. That when we come in there and we're picking up such and such person. Actually, well, that was my grandmother, but she never lived in this house.
But it's weird because with her, it could be my son and her there, and there's no orbs. But when she's by herself, and I compare it, there's tons of orbs around her.
Yeah, and that's what it is. She's maybe
Well, right now she
resembles
calmed down.
her.
Yeah. Well, she has my mom's name.
Oh, okay.
I told
So
her.
she's there serving as a protector, as a guardian angel.
Yes, because she has a lot of things of my mom that she used to do, and she does that. Crafting, sewing, and all, and she does that. So I told her that it's your big angel.
She's inherited from your mom.
Yes.
So don't ever say, don't ever disbelieve what your child says.
Oh, no. No.
Anyone else?
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you for being here. Thank you.
If anybody's interested, we do have